This is Matt Longmire, the writer, director, and editor of The River, and I'm here. I didn't ask you what you wanted to go by for this.
My name is Alexius Zellner. I'm player 4, and everybody calls me Lex. Keeps it simple.
Perfect. We are here to talk about the show and sort of go over some of the thoughts from the production and sort of what it was like to film. It's definitely an interesting process. We did it very, very quickly. Yeah. It was what, like 6 days?
6 days, yeah. Thank you for the beer, by the way.
Oh, of course. Of course. It makes for a much better commentary session,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming. Thanks for doing this. I am currently down in LA visiting specifically for the commentary and also just kind of to celebrate this project that's been going for almost exactly 5 years.
Yep.
It was almost exactly 5 years ago that we filmed this, and we had every intention, or I had every intention of getting it out as fast as possible, but due to some various technical issues and also my ability as an editor, it kind of got shelved for a while. But it was always something that was important to me, and it was always a project that I really loved, and so here we are kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
So this was just the promo. This actually, in the original film, what is just finishing now was just the opener, sort of the opening title credits sequence. But it became such a great trailer / promo for the show when it converted into a web series. I'm pulling up my notes because I have to have questions to ask. I have to, think of things to make it an interesting commentary. So that's my intro. Alexis, tell me about you.
Well, as you know, I had just come home from Iraq, and this was my first LA project. My first LA audition, my first LA project, and I did a lot of stuff back in the Midwest and on the East Coast. But
had you just moved to LA then?
I had just moved to LA.
Oh wow!
And I was brand new. Just started training and getting myself together, and this was I couldn't have, to this day, I've done so many other projects, and to this day, I haven't worked with a better, more patient director,
So not only was I not able to pay you for the shoot, but I also, just as disclosure, I did not pay him to say that.
You paid me with good food.
Oh yeah,
your wife, man.
We did have good food. My wife Hayden made fantastic food.
Yeah.
To the point that I gave her an assistant director credit on the show.
She deserved it.
Well, she wasn't an assistant director, but she directed me.
Uh-huh.
Like she kept me going in the direction I needed to go. That's all. Tell me, we're not to your character yet. Maybe we'll wait until we get to your character to really talk about it. But I'm assuming, I'm not talking too much about the show right now because I'm assuming anybody who's watching the commentary has already probably watched the show.
Right.
I'm just really curious. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm curious what your thought was when I emailed you guys, all the cast and crew, and I said, hey, it's not going to be a movie anymore. 5 years later, it's going to be an online web series.
It didn't surprise me because you're a smart guy, and you know that the web series is booming right now. But it didn't. I was excited about it. I was. I say nothing. It was a really good idea instead of just making it just a feature. But man, it was when I read that it was going to be a web series, I was like, man. And I was like, you know what? It will make a good web series.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like it was written that way.
Yeah.
It's so episodic in the sense that something big happens every 8 minutes or so, or every 10 minutes, which now is boiled down. Oh, there he is. There he is.
I just saw it.
First time on camera, or on this show.
Busted hand and all.
Yeah. Nobody really knows who anybody is at this point. They're all just kind of waking up and figuring out what's going on. But you were this great character in this, which was like you were like the calm before the storm. Everybody had their thing, like Don's character, player 1, this guy, who you're seeing on screen right now. Don's character was he's not the Weasley guy, but he's kind of the Weasley guy.
He played the perfect asshole. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
okay.
Well, he knew that. He
Yeah,
knew
he
that,
did.
and he did such a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Like one thing, it was really all my technical issues that delayed the project. I never had any doubts about the acting. I was really happy. But Don did a great job. Justin did a great job. Everybody had a different individual character. And Michael, who's talking now, and we're kind of wrapping up this first episode, which was really just setup. But your character was this calm before the storm. You were like the one that could, like you just played it cool, but you knew there was something behind there, and I love that it sort of comes out later in the project. And the more you tell me about sort of the experiences you had just come from, the more I feel bad that I put you through this like right away. It's like as soon as you're back, right, I'm like, here, let's do scenes where you have to beat up a guy to death, and so I feel terrible, but you played it very well. I mean, I'm sure we'll count. This is the first time the heat will be mentioned. I'm sure it will be mentioned many times across this commentary. Yeah. But that was just one of the things, kind of adding to people's ability to act through it. And I think some of the experiences you had probably brought this intensity to the film.
Yeah, I definitely do, and what I love about what my acting coach says to do is to just use it, just pull from it. Use it as it's your bag of tricks, it's your bag of tools, and and just totally bring it out when you need it. But but you did mention an interesting thing was the heat.
Oh yeah,
it was hot as. I was sweating like a
really
whore in
hot.
church, man. On a Sunday, it was just bad. in the plastic on the floor. But
I know. This was shot in the middle of. I think it was July. I think it was the middle of July in Pasadena.
Yeah.
In a plastic-lined garage with no ventilation, in the middle of fire season, with one of the worst fires the San Gabriel Mountains have ever seen.
Yeah.
Which actually, those fires are one of the reasons the project was delayed for so long. For anybody who doesn't know, this was shot in 2009. Yeah. The dates that you see in the flashbacks and everything were kind of an homage to the fact of when we shot it.
Yeah.
And I tried to just base out the days and times based on how that would go if the day the game is played happened to be around the same time that the actual thing was shot.
Right.
But yeah, it was very warm. It was probably 110, 115 degrees in there at times. And when you see people sweating, it's real sweat.
Yeah, it's real sweat, real on the verge of heat exhaustion.
Yeah, totally. One thing you can't hear is Alexius isn't happy with how he looks on camera. You're looking great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you are. You're looking great.
Trimmed up. I was 225 when I was there, lifting the heavy weights and and my coach said, you need to lose about 15 pounds, and I cried.
Oh, no.
Because I worked so hard I used to want to be like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to be big like Mike. And see, I love this. I love this. That is scary.
Well, there were some really, I'll call them very intense moments throughout the show. They're sort of sprinkled in across the whole thing. Real quick, going back to the heat, I knew I always wanted a desaturated look on the show to kind of take out some of the color and make it a little bit grungy and a little grittier. But one thing I felt bad about is some of the color grading on this turns it a hint blue and cooler, so it looks cooler than it actually is. If I had done this temperature accurate, everything would have had a red tint to it. It was so hot. But yeah, you had great looks like that just happened, like all these little moments. And the first time I edited this, I made a 94-minute rough cut of the film version when it was a film. And, it was good. I was happy with it. It was just a rough cut. It had all kinds of problems. But I did it so fast. I did that rough cut in 2 weeks. I did. The 94-minute cut was done in 2 weeks. And that was, it was great to get it done that fast, but it was nowhere near as good because I didn't get a chance to review every single take. This time, every single take, every facial expression, everything was reviewed. And a lot of times I would have like a great visual, but the audio didn't work there, and so I would overlay them. I think it may have been that actually. Whereas anybody want to leave, I feel like that audio may have come from another take because the microphone it had an issue or there was like a shirt rub or something.
Right. Yeah.
But there are several moments where that happens. But
the shirt, where did you get the shirt? Speaking of shirts, where did you get my shirt from?
Your shirt, I want to say everything came from Walmart because I needed to be able to buy multiple copies of things, and that was the one place I knew that affordability wise, I could get 3 or 4 of the same shirt for each person. And, because, like, for example, yours never got too bloody, but, like, Otto, player 3, when he got shot, we had to do the makeup effect on him a couple times, which, by the way, gave us the best outtake of the entire thing.
Oh, yeah.
I love that outtake. If you're listening to this, by the time you're listening to this, there's probably already an outtakes cut. Which I'm very excited to do because we had some good ones. There's one of my favorites is Michael, who plays the host.
Yeah.
I think he just finished explaining in this episode that there are only 4 bullets in this gun. But one of my favorite outtakes is he so seriously says there are only 4 guns in this bullet, and it was so fantastic. And I'm like, as I was editing, I was just tagging these wonderful little outtakes. Yeah. And I was like, we're all still alive. We're all like, everything's good. It's not as dark and twisted as the show makes it out to be.
Yeah. It was some fun times. I mean, that was cool that you let me keep my script because the lines.
Of course I
was because I had it on the floor.
Keep your script next to you.
Yeah, and I was just looking down every time I was trying to look down. Okay, what's my next line?
Yeah, I did notice a couple moments when I was editing that it was like, he's like, you said the line, but he's looking at the table. I think he's looking at the script.
Right.
But that was okay. I mean, I got to be honest. This was my first feature film. I was nowhere near as prepared or knowledgeable as I could have been, and you guys were all so great to go along on that kind of ride with me. But I definitely didn't give people enough time. And also, we were talking about this earlier. You came in late. You were, I hate to say the phrase, but you were a replacement. Another guy who was going to be player 4 couldn't do it last minute. And I was kicking myself for not casting you first. But I was very, very happy after the fact.
Yeah. The check is, I'll deposit that in your account a little later.
All right. So here we are kicking into, I think, episode 3 now. Actually, yeah, episode 3. So this is where people start actually playing. Everybody's still alive at this point.
Right. Otto, he had some type of... how many times has he been killed? And,
I don't know. He's been in a lot of projects, though.
Some insane amount, like 200 times he's been killed on film or something like that.
Yeah, I know he's been in, or at least, he said he had been in almost 200 projects. I don't know how many he had died in, but yeah. But tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Player 4. Tell me about your character. Like, what was going through your head? Obviously, some of the stuff you were using from your deployment, but tell me a little bit about Player 4.
Player 4, I really had to, I'm not a card player, so I really had to do some research at the last second because on a personal note, growing up in my house, my grandfather, we weren't allowed to play cards.
Sure.
Because my grandfather's brother, back in Wild Wild West days, my grandfather was a Cree Indian. And his brother was a heavy gambler, heavy drinker, and he got killed in a card game.
Wow.
He was winning too much, and they thought he was cheating.
Wow.
So cards were
off the table.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We couldn't play cards. So I didn't learn how to play cards until I was an adult. And to this day, I still only know how to play Tunk and 21. That's it. And strip poker at some parties.
There you go.
once I started, researching, playing card games, playing this game, even though you guys were so patient, because I didn't know what the hell a river was.
Sure. Well, a lot of people don't, actually. Yeah. That's why in the new promo, the new trailer thing at the very beginning, I added the definition.
Yeah.
Because people were like, what river? Oh, yeah. They had no idea what the connection was there. But, yeah. I think we're getting close to... Yeah. Getting close to our first loss here. Yeah. But you were saying you just learned...
Yeah, so it's... and this guy...
Matt? Player 5.
No, my player, player 4.
Oh, sure.
Just reading the script I got from it that he does this for a living. He has a family to take care of, and and he pretty much just cards is his life, and I had to try to bring that out some type of way, and the pain that he's experienced. I mean, this guy, if he loses, his family doesn't eat, you know, or the lights get turned off or something like that. So I tried to bring that to the table, as well as not angering my grandfather.
Sure. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. The first time I ever heard my grandfather curse at me was when I brought a pack of Uno cards in, and my grandfather went ape shit. Get that out of my house. I was like, okay. I was like 6.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Yeah.
So let me ask you something I never even thought to ask any of you guys is, in your research and your character development, obviously none of the players have a name. Did you give your guy a name, or did you just go by player 4?
No, I went by Pimp Daddy. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like your AOL screen name, like Pimp Daddy 1 2 3.
Yeah. No, I stuck with player 4. I love what I did like about that is how you kept it. Just how can I say this?
It's very anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous and confidential. Confidential. I'm slurring my word. Confidential, and that's what I loved about it. Nobody knows each other. Nobody.
Right.
There's, when I off this poor kid, it's Matt. It's there's no feelings behind it at all.
Yeah. No, and that it's great to see that, because the way it happened, we're coming up on it. I could even put up a countdown clock. The way it kind of goes down here is very detached, and it's interesting to try to write characters that don't have names. And I did that intentionally. It wasn't like I just couldn't come up with names. I didn't want them to be able to connect on that personal level, because in my head, the host wouldn't want them to do that, because they would develop attachments, which means it would make them hard to do what they had to do.
Right.
So by keeping it detached like that, it makes it easier to off the person next to you if you have to.
Right.
So anyway, that's where the nameless thing came in. Only one player actually has a name, and you don't find that out until the very end of the show.
Right.
But yeah, the one thing I'll say, purely from a technical and selfish standpoint, the more of you that died, the easier it was to edit, because I had less camera angles to worry about.
You were only working with one camera, right?
No, we shot 2 cameras. Everything was shot 2 cameras. Wow. And we generally did 2 or 3 takes per thing. Yeah. So like when you see someone say something, they probably did it about 6 times.
Yeah.
Because we had to turn the cameras on 2 players and then turn the cameras on 2 more players. And I think if we had taken, like, doing it now, we would probably do it differently. But when we did, that was the best way we could go about it. Here
it comes.
Here we go. 3, 2. Oh, there he goes. Oh my God! Everyone jumps at that every time, and I don't know if it's the volume or the editing or whatever. This poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I felt bad. Matt was such a great actor. I felt so bad killing him so fast.
Yeah.
Like, he was gone so quick, and he just did such a great job. But, well, if you're watching this, spoilers, stop listening now and go watch the actual episode and the episode after this one. But we know that he's not quite, he's not quite gone. Quite gone.
Yeah.
and that was an intense moment for everyone on set, especially you.
Yeah.
Like, especially you. And I knew that, and I felt terrible putting it through it. But I was like, but it has to. Because you're the only person who would step up. Character-wise, you're the only person who would step up and take care of it.
Right.
Everybody else is kind of a wimp. They're kind of getting into it. Like, you know, player 1 is a wimp in that, and he's not that violent. Player 2 is, like, too moral to try and do it. He doesn't know what to do. Player 3 is probably not strong enough. You know, you were the only one who could really step up and take care of it.
Right. Yeah.
I love these few poker shots that I got. Like, we didn't really get enough gameplay to really, like, because I got a ton of gameplay, but we had some inconsistencies that made it tough to use a lot of it. So I think if I ever did this again, I would probably have a camera on the cards at all times. It'd probably be a 3-camera shoot.
And a coach, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
But you don't look like you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
At least not to me and to the average viewer. Maybe to, you know, if we have any super intense poker fans, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah.
And here's Ben. Ben will be joining us shortly. He is stuck in traffic and on his way, so he'll get to come hang out with us at some point. But yeah, I think this is the first flashback. Yeah, I think it's the first flashback. So I think this may have thrown people when I first introduced it, because none of the previous episodes did.
It's a nice house you have too.
Yeah,
it was.
That was a nice house. Yeah, that's all Hayden's decorating. That's our house.
Man.
Yeah, and actually, what people don't know, and here's a little inside stuff: the garage we were filming in was probably 10 feet away outside of this house. We filmed pretty much everything right next to, all kind of in the same spot there.
I need a car to have her come help me with my place, man, because my place just looks bad.
Yeah, Hayden's totally the decorator. I make stuff. I put it together, but she's the designer.
You guys still have that dog?
We do. We just don't have Lily.
Yeah.
Lily's awesome. Lily had back problems too, just like I did. So she doesn't get to play. She lost a disc in her back. So yeah, she's okay now, but she's not. Like, we can't let her play with other dogs and stuff because she's a little fragile. But yeah, Lily's awesome. Our little French bulldog.
Yeah, I love her. I love her.
I have one shot of her for the behind the scenes when she's still kind of a puppy then.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flashbacks were interesting because in the movie version, this flashback happens right after, or one of the flashbacks happens right after the abduction, like before you even get to the game. Yeah. But the reason I held off for the show adaptation was because I really needed to establish the game as the show and the flashbacks as supplemental, like, explanation, like setting up a lot of things.
Huh.
I love this moment. Don's like, really? Is that how you're going to do? And this moment is setting up Don's death later.
Yeah.
That's all this and yeah.
At this point, Don is pissing me off anyway. You know.
Don was pissing you off in person, or it was the character was pissing
the character. The character. Yeah. Don's a good guy. Yeah. I like Don. Yeah.
You guys work together so well. I think some of my favorite moments in the show are episodes 7 and 8. 7, you and Don. It's you and Don pretty much back and forth, and 8 is pretty much you and Justin back and forth. Yeah. And they were both just so intensely strong that it was fantastic. And at this point, it's just it's just the three of you and then Otto. And I love it. Otto was kind of like he was trying to be like the soul of the group. Yeah. In a way.
The father figure.
Yeah, like like it's okay, everything's okay, we'll be all right. But there's no way to do that. If you're going to continue with the game, there's no way for it to be okay.
Right.
A lot of people are about to die.
Right.
But no, he's good. I think what people don't know is that there's actually a lot more in terms of lines and dialogue and things. But with web series, it has to be a lot shorter. And also, too, my writing was not as strong then as it is now. And so I rewrote a lot of stuff by rearranging footage or by cutting certain things that were redundant. And so it made the script itself much stronger to shorten it up. But you were joking earlier that I was cutting out your bad acting.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
No, it wasn't cutting out your bad acting. It was just streamlining the whole thing and making it kind of tidier. But yeah. Oh, here's your exposition. This is you explaining who you are, talking about your cheating philosophy.
Yeah. Doesn't take much to bet money on the other side.
Yeah.
They get 20%.
It's a good system.
Yeah, it is.
You totally pulled that off.
Yeah.
Because there are people who bet on poker players. Like they don't play poker, but they'll like bet on poker players like it's a horse race or any kind of performance based thing. Like when you watch the World Series of Poker, there are other people betting on those players who's going to win. But
that's a scary thing. That would be worse than. I would rather bet on a sports game.
I know. Well, at least then you have better odds. But but like if you say like any of the big deal poker players who you watch for years and you know how they play. Some people take poker very seriously. To that level. But no, I love this exposition. It's not your only exposition either. We get to hear more about you later throughout, and your character to me was always there was so much going on. Like everybody had a lot going on. I mean, I could talk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes about each individual character and the multiple things they were going through, but yours went so deep. You had so many variables in your psyche, and it was just awesome to watch, and you pulled it off really well.
Well, thank you. In a short amount of time, I tried my best. I really did.
Well, I didn't give you much time to prepare. Tell me about the audition. Do you remember the audition?
I remember the audition.
You know I still have your screen test, by the way. I filmed them. I filmed all of them.
You poor... Oh.
Nah, they're great.
No, my God, please.
It's awesome bonus content. No, I won't put it out.
When I start making a bigger name for myself, I will buy that from you.
Oh, you don't.
No, I'm I don't ever want it to get out. But the audition part was... I remember thinking, man, I don't know nothing about cards. It was my first LA audition, and
was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got the gig.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. I was really shocked too, and but I remember being just nervous, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna have fun with it. You know, there's worse things, I could be doing, but that's right when we got up and the surprise there.
Yeah, man, doing the previouslys and next weeks, that's something I had no idea I would be doing, but that alone was like editing a whole scene. I was trying to figure out the exact thing that needed to happen to explain the upcoming episode, and the exact thing that needs to happen to tease people into watching the following episode. So that was always that was fun and interesting and sometimes exhausting.
Yeah, I bet.
The audition. I was sure I had rented this place. I can't remember where it was. It was like on Santa Monica or something. But I'd rented this place to hold the auditions, and I was sure that I looked like I was a teenager, and then everybody was going to everybody's going to think I was just some who the hell is this guy?
Right.
Oh, Ben's here. I'm going to pause the recording, and then we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so we're back with Ben Whitehair is now joining us.
Hey, everybody.
Who plays the brother. You never had a name. We were just talking about names earlier, actually, about how the 5 players... Oh, look, and there he is. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing at the dinner party.
I remember filming that scene. I had so much fun.
That was such a great commentary answer.
I know, it really was. I'm remembering it's so funny. I'm just remembering that scene, and Monica, she was so great to work with, and
she's hot too.
She is very attractive. Yes,
she's a mom now.
She is a mom.
She's a mom.
Yeah,
she's got an adorable little one.
She does, and they have a dog, I think, and
yeah,
she's great. She was just the sweetest. It was funny just because I'm remembering it was it felt very family dinner, and I'm in my own family. I'm the oldest brother, so it was I just remember being such a different dynamic of
being the little brother.
Being the little brother, being I kind of feel bad for my little brother. I was kind of a dick to him.
It's now I know how it feels.
I was just talking to him on the way over here. He's great, but I was very much the older brother.
That's funny. Yeah, no, this scene was great. It's shorter than it was in the film, but pretty much everything was tightened up because of we were just talking about how with web stuff it really has to be shorter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain attention span that
Right.
you got to kind of keep things moving in a way that a cat video doesn't distract you.
I think the longest episode is the finale at 12 minutes. Everything else after that is like 8 minutes. But these kind of flashbacks really like set it up, and it's great to like establish this dynamic between the family dynamic between player 2, the brother, the wife. But yeah, it was always interesting to not have names.
Yeah.
And, it was, for the players, it was to keep them detached so that they could, do what they needed to do. But for this, it was really just to keep the audience from being distracted by that kind of stuff and to kind of even the playing field. The only name that eventually comes up is player 2's, because your character leaves it for him on a note.
Yeah.
But that's about it. So tell me, what was it? Obviously your stuff was all over the place. You never had to go in the garage except for your death.
Yeah, just the death, which I just remember was so hot. It was just
hot.
like so hot. That's what I remember. And I had so much fun. Like dying on camera is just like such a blast, but yeah, I just remember being in that garage, just being like, man, it is balls hot in here.
You were only in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I was only there for like 5 minutes. I'm like, man, this sucks for you guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go in the house now.
I must have lost about 10
The house
pounds.
wasn't that great either, though, because we couldn't run the air conditioner because it was so close to this is the outside of the house. But if you were able to see just to Monica's right, or her left, actually, to our right. That's the garage, is right there.
Yeah, it's like right there.
And so the air conditioning unit was only maybe 10 feet from the garage, so we couldn't run it. The house was just as hot.
Well, and the thing that I remember is there was that fire that was going on, so there were just helicopters constantly. I just remember that being like, come on.
Yeah, that was a pretty hefty sound issue, but luckily, with enough practice and experience, I figured out how to deal with it. So the sound wasn't a big problem for this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
it was in the beginning when
impressive.
I didn't know what I was doing, but now it was much easier to tackle.
Yeah, I just remember that being such a challenge for there. So that's cool that it came out that way. Because I remember just all the various different scenes of filming it, and it always felt really good. Like I felt like everybody had really good chemistry and.
Yeah.
Everybody was cool to work with on set,
and you spent most of your time with Justin and Monica.
Yeah, most of my stuff was with them. Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff you weren't necessarily. Sorry, Alexius. This is Alexius's really intense. I shortened it to make it a little less intense. It was very drawn out in the first cut, but yeah, it was pretty rough. And the thing is, Matt's character, people really have spoke out and loved him in the first couple episodes.
He's a likable guy.
Yeah, he is. Believe me, I hated doing it.
And so he thought it was great. And so, but the fact that he was such a likable character, when you do that, the people who are already fans of this character are like cringing watching you beat him to death. I remember one of the best stories is a friend of mine was really into the show and was telling their friend about the show. And their friend was, he grew up in Detroit, and he's always been really, Alexi's raising his hand. He grew up in Detroit, and he's always been kind of like able to predict things like that. So he sees the last episode where the next week bit says, like, you can't use that, we only have enough bullets for losing players. And the guy goes, oh man, he's going to have to beat that kid to death. so I'm just like, my friend tells me this, and I'm like, that's the funniest thing. Yeah, it's like, yep, totally called it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's going to have to beat him to death.
Yep, and that's what happens.
It was quite dark. But I love that, like, you just kind of ruminate on what just happened for a while.
Yeah.
And then you can see Don's just so shaken by what's just happened. He's like, oh my God.
I mean, can you blame him? Like,
but he's also scheming too, because like right here, this is where Justin is out of chips, and Don is like, no, you have to put down the blind, and if you fold, I get to kill you. Basically, he's like terrified, but also scheming, and that's there's so many layers to all these characters. But so how does it feel to know that you essentially are the cause of this whole the whole storyline.
The next World War, I have your name
I'm
on it.
honored that everyone would go and beat the shit out of each other for me. I just really that's true love.
Thanks for beating up that kid for me.
Yeah, thanks for murdering people for me. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too. It's like I there's sort of that proverbial question that how far would you go for your family?
Right.
And this is one possible how far someone would go.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I feel blessed that I've never had to answer that kind of question in a terrifying scenario in my life. But sorry, I just got caught up. He's so freaked out.
That's been one of my favorite things is figuring out where to cut it off before the next and make people wait a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then like what to give them to tease them. Like this one, like you got 3 hours. Like those kinds of that's been so much fun. Yeah, and the interesting thing about your character and whenever someone died, most of the time I used their death clip as their credit. But with your character, unless someone is really savvy, and a lot of people were, but unless someone's really savvy, they don't realize this is a revenge movie. Because you don't find out until the season finale that it's a revenge thing. Yeah. That player 2 is doing all this because he knows what happened to. He found out what happened to his brother. Yep. And there it goes again.
Holy shit!
It wasn't until there were a lot of stuff I realized 5 years later that I probably, whether I would have done it or wouldn't have done it, I had to re-justify. Like with Matt, he got shot in the head, right? But he coughs up blood. But how would you cough up blood as you got shot in the head? And I justified. Oh, here you go. Here you go. I justified it by saying that maybe he got shot in the head in a way that it affected like a sinus cavity, and he went down into his lungs and then coughed. I don't know. This scene.
I don't know where you researched that. This scene was interesting to film. Trust me, I know people cough up.
Okay, that's all right. All right then.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Confirmation that that's a thing that happens.
It happens, yeah. You'd be surprised.
But yeah, this was a great scene to film. Basically, what you don't see on camera is Dilip and Ben, our 2 camera guys, and me in the back seat. I'm in the middle, holding the boom mic, and kind of tilting it one direction or another, whoever's talking. And Ben and Dilip are rolling the 2 cameras. And yeah, it was interesting to try and do this and like get good lighting and everything, so you can see. Sometimes you can see that we had the dome light on, but it wasn't too distracting. But I love the like relationship here. Like,
The other guy goes to sleep and they rip off their wallet. You're right, but family also forgives each other when someone isn't perfect. I told Mom I'd take
I was so mad.
you were really mad. You were into it. And that scene was shortened. I mean, if you remember, it went on quite a while.
Yeah.
But it was really shortened because I was just trying to like the more I read the script, because I've read this script and watched the rough cut probably a million times, and the more I read it, the more I would find these like little teeny tiny redundancies that I had written in, and at that point it was heartbreaking because like let's say what was one of your lines, you may have said it beautifully both different ways. But because it was redundant, I had to choose one.
Cut it out, yeah.
But that just, came down to my writing. And so it was kind of, fun to rewrite this way. Oh, man. Michael was so creepy.
Yeah, he was.
He's super creepy.
And he doesn't seem like a creepy guy. Like,
no, he wasn't.
You know what I mean?
At all.
Like if you just look at him or meet him, he does. Like some people just kind of have that creepy vibe. Like he does, like, oh, that's a nice guy, and then I watch him and here I'm just like, holy shit, that guy's freaking me out.
I spent more time with Michael as his character than I did as Michael. So, like, whenever I see this or I think of Michael, I associate the creepy host.
He's not invited to the rap party. He's just that guy's too creepy.
Everybody like drink each other to death. So,
Find us entertaining.
but yeah, it was interesting because this round, I was able to edit more in depth and find the better takes of everyone, and cutting all these various moments together was just great. It was fun.
It's a cool thing. I feel like being able to chop it up in sort of a different way when you sort of make it in sort of an episodic way rather than
Well, it already feels very episodic, so it kind of worked out in our favor. But you want more water?
Yeah, I'll take some.
I had asked Alexius, but what did you think when I sent you the email saying we were going to turn this into a web series?
I was happy that it was going to be out to the public.
Yeah.
Sort of whatever format it took, and there's so much that can be done on the web, and just such great content. And it's interesting, thinking back how long ago this was made, but just how far we've come with content on the web. I mean, it's just nuts. And so at the end of the day, I don't know. For me, I think it's cool. I mean, already, like you said, it's already sort of an episodic type of script, and the different ways, and the different characters, and everybody's sort of journey through the game and everything that makes a lot of sense as far as delivering it in an episodic manner, but also just there's such great quality content on the web now. Like it's really amazing, and whatever. I remember really enjoying the story and enjoying the process of it. So I'm just happy that it's able to get out there.
Yeah, no, so am I. This has been the biggest, longest running thing I've ever had hanging over my head. So it's very nice to have it done. With the web series aspect, though, it's funny. It was a good film, but it's a great web series. When you watch it as a film, you don't really get the time to, and people will binge watch it as a show, I'm sure. But you don't quite get the same amount of time to let certain things resonate. Like you don't get to watch him beat a kid to death and then wait a week to like the next thing that happens.
Yeah, and have that be the last thing you saw.
Right. And so that was a lot of fun to break it up and make people wait, and especially with like the previouslys and next week's kind of giving you a teaser. But yeah, it was a very, very fun and learning experience for me, converting it from a movie to a web series.
Sure.
But I was telling Alexius earlier that it actually ended up cutting about half an hour from the film.
That's
both
so interesting.
in tightening it up and trying to make it fit for the web. But here's our next one. Wait.
Do you remember the outtake?
Oh, I totally remember that. Jesus Christ. Did you ever see the outtake? You saw the outtake, right?
Yes, I did.
I'm sure everybody did. That was the best thing. So, if you're watching this and you're listening to this commentary, we got 2 takes of Otto's death. So we were able to do the special effects twice. The first time was the one that you just see here. The second time was probably more effective, but the blood effect wasn't as good. The first time, he does the effect, but the tube, because we used air compression instead of the squib, the tube actually kind of like moved as it did it, and so it went down his shirt a little bit, and it both freaked him out and also just confused him. So as soon as it happens, in his awesome dialect, he just says, "Jesus Christ!" And like every single person in the room except for Justin starts crying with laughter because it was like the comedic timing. But Justin had just been sprayed with blood, basically, and he had no idea why we were all laughing.
It's like, what the hell's going on?
That Otto didn't die.
Yeah.
It was like, we got this great take, but you didn't die. I think before the second take we said, okay, we're gonna do it again, but you have to die this time.
You have to die this time. Otherwise he's gonna have to come over and beat you up again.
Right.
And that's not exactly the script.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, but it was a good death. I think everybody's deaths worked out really well. Josh Potter, who did a fantastic job with our special effects makeup, he gave us some really good blood effects and good makeup effects, and just all around it kind of worked out.
I'm trying to remember. I think that this was my first on-screen death.
Was it? Well, you didn't die on screen. You were just on screen dead already.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, but like anything
Your
related
first
to like
time
me
you were
being
dead,
first time being dead, like
Yeah.
on screen.
I should have said spoilers first, because but I can't imagine someone would watch this with commentary before they actually go watch the show.
Yeah, I guess it's possible. Sorry.
So,
It doesn't. No, it doesn't have.
did,
There's
we're sorry.
It ends with unicorns and rainbows.
There you go.
Just keep watching.
Playing poker.
Yeah, exactly. Unicorns and rainbows playing poker.
That's like the new variation of the like bulldog and the like dogs playing poker.
Yeah, exactly.
Unicorns and yetis and rainbows.
Very, very different ending than originally.
I love that moment there for you, Alexius, where you're like, "There's nothing we can do about it now." You're like, you could see you had made the decision. I'm going to kill this guy.
Yeah, that was your note.
Yeah,
I remember that note.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was your note. Yeah.
Oh, there's Ben.
You look,
He really did feel like my older brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was that relationship
He was like, I don't. It was because I was fairly new to LA and everything, and I just remember working with Justin and feeling like he just had this sense of like he knew what he was doing, and it really felt like this like what I imagined it would feel like to have an older brother, like just sort of this mature, like he was felt like he was always trying to take care of me and make sure that I was okay, and I remember the scene is sort of sad, like knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's totally your goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a goodbye without letting him know.
I actually, when I'm editing the project file is called The Brothers Goodbye. Because I generally edit scenes like this in individual projects and then merge them together to create the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So like this scene to me, I always call it The Brothers Goodbye. Yeah, it's great because like you can see what you're going through in this. Like you can see that you're trying really hard to keep him comfortable, let him know that you're kind of on track, but at the same time, I mean, what you consider to be on track is you're going to go be successful playing this poker game. You're going to win this poker game.
Yeah.
Because you already knew what was happening. But it was like, it's like you had wised up, but not really.
Yeah.
So it was
my version of wising up is probably not most people's version
It's
of
like
wising
another
up.
get rich quick kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But
I'm just feeling sort of desperate that like that's all. That's like the only way is like desperate times call for desperate measures. But like I've got it.
yeah, you felt confident, but you tried everything. Although you knew there was a chance you were going to die, and so you're like leaving him this little note just in case.
He's like the kid who has so much potential, but he just decided to go down the wrong path and screw things up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I have your best. It's not really an outtake, but your best like on camera kind of moment is you. I think you had just done that scene. You jumped over the gate, and I said, "Cut." There was a first take, and you did your thing where you're like, "Nailed it!"
Yeah, I have that.
And you did this like big kick in the air. You're like,
Yeah, that's my nailed it kick. My favorite is to do that when I do a take when I have no lines, or like after I like if I'm dying or something, I'm just like lying there and it's like nailed it.
That's awesome.
I have pretty much every project I have has at least one clip of me doing that.
Say nailed it.
My goal in life is to when I'm super famous, get everybody to go back and find
do a
those, and I'll
supercut.
just do a super cut of
All right.
nailed it.
Well, when you want that footage, let me know. I'll
Okay,
send
great.
you a copy for sure.
It's so funny. I really enjoy hopping over fences. Like I grew up. That's like a really weird thing, but I grew up on a ranch and for many years, and like you're just constantly hopping fences and barbed wire fence, whatever. And so like I learned how to like hop over fences efficiently, and I was just watching that. I'm like, yeah.
So in every project, you have to hop a fence.
I got to hop a fence, say nailed it, and I still the thing that hasn't happened. The next projects, I really want to walk away from a building that's exploding behind me. That's like on my bucket list.
Well, we already have the walking away from the house. I can just go in and superimpose.
We just superimpose the explosion.
Yeah.
I think we should do that. Alexis, he looks so intense, man.
He is.
Oh, thank
this scene
you.
is very, very intense.
Yeah.
It's just like no.
And Justin's like, I'm just
Bullshit.
staying out of it.
I'm just gonna deal these
It's like,
cards.
you guys just do your thing. You go at it. Yeah, it was hard for us to shoot everything kind of out of order with things like lighting and color and all this stuff. And we did the best we could, I think, with the limited amount of time that we have. Mm-hmm. But by the way, one thing we never noticed for you is when people see your hand is actually injured.
Yeah.
Like that
yeah.
wasn't just a character choice. Like that like I don't remember what it was. You can tell us the story, but your hand, like that bandage was real.
Yeah, the bandage was real, and I remember being scared to explain. Explaining to you how I injured it. I was like, oh man, he's gonna get mad. He's gonna think I'm a screw up. And
you worked it into the dialogue at one point. There was an ad lib in there.
Yeah.
I think you ad libbed that. Oh, when you were talking about what they did to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They beat you up. He's like, yeah, he like broke my dealing hand, and he like hold it up. And I was like, oh, okay. But he deals with the other hand the rest of the time, so I can't use that. But oh, this is so great. This moment, this is between you two, is so intense, and it harks back to you not wanting the kid to panic.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like what I did to try and make it easier on the kid, I'm going to make it harder on you.
yeah.
And I just love that.
That's the police hold there.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the shutter speed amped up on the camera, so it made it look even more jittery and crazy. Yeah, it's fantastic. That plastic really came into play for that one.
Yeah, it did.
There was actually more scene after this, but that looks like it's just me and you was such a perfect place to cut.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I love it.
Very generous, thank you. Chipmunk cheeks.
No. Just gonna say, I had a list of questions I wanted to ask you guys because we're like already up to episode 8, so I wanted to make sure if I had questions for you.
Boxer briefs normally, but
Right.
sometimes
Yeah.
Well, they call them trunks now, right? Isn't there like a short one that's like trunks?
Is that what it
I
is?
think so. Boxer briefs are like the long ones that are like halfway down your thigh.
No.
Oh, really?
Some are like the short ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because then there's
do it.
tighty whities,
Yeah.
which is like, I mean, you got. I feel like
Welcome
for
to
me,
the commentary for the river.
I just need it to be longer.
Now we're getting to the important stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably wearing boxer briefs in
Yeah.
that scene there. I know that's what you guys were wondering.
Yeah, Don agrees. What? So when I posted the audition notice for this, and I said kind of what the story was, what kind of drew you guys to this project? Like, what made you say, "Hey, I want to audition for that"? Because I was up front at the fact that I didn't have a budget to pay people, but what drew you to that as a project?
If you had any idea what I was going through.
Oh, you waiting on me? Oh, I was sorry. I was too busy looking at Monica. I'm sorry. Just the description of it just sounded great, and I was just like, wow. I hope I get this, and I didn't in the first time, but I wanted to get it.
I think it was like 24 hours.
Yeah, but it just sounded awesome. You know how it is. When we go through these auditions, and it's like, that just didn't sound right. But this was just like underground card game. I mean, you can't go wrong with that shit.
Well, sometimes they sound great, and then they turn out like crap. So hopefully
Yeah.
this isn't one.
Well, I remember. And the sort of relationship aspect in the context of this like really kind of dark, crazy scenario, I really liked. And again to have sort of this family aspect, but people going to the extreme and sort of I'm always fascinated by any story about how far someone will go. Did a couple other movies actually in the last few months that were sort of the same kind of underlying question of like how far will someone go? What is it to push someone to the edge, and what do they, what does any person do at that point? And then filming it, I mean, I had a blast. It was great working with everybody and being able to be on set with a bunch of awesome actors. Like I really had a great time.
So now I gotta pay him too.
Yeah. Can I? Is that what you wanted me to say? Was that the line?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I think you ad-libbed a little bit from my original script.
Oh, sorry.
You forgot to put Lex is godlike.
Exactly.
The next Denzel.
No, and because I've kept in touch a little bit with some of the other actors and see Monica around, and
Yeah.
it's crazy that it was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
so
it was.
nuts,
It was
man.
exactly 5 years ago. Yeah, and it's funny. I just paid off my credit card because I had paid for the film, like everything we had to get for the
Sure.
film. I paid for it with my credit card, and
Yeah.
I paid it off 2 months before I finished it. Like I had already
That's
been working
amazing.
on it for
Congrats. That's
yeah, seriously. But it was like this big celebratory thing. You know, I mean, it was like worth flying back down just to like just kind of be where it was, see everybody, do this commentary, kind of let everybody have drinks together, and kind of give everybody a chance to say, hey, after all this time, it happened. Because I promised you, and I keep my promises. I do.
Yeah.
I always keep my promises. Even if it takes a really, really long time, such as this case. But I actually think it's better that it happened this way because I feel like it wouldn't have had a future as a movie.
Sure.
I feel like it has a fantastic future as a show. And it was really interesting. Oh, here we go. This is the last hand. This is another situation where I wish I had just a little bit more card play. And we had good enough card play for this. There were the major scenes that we focused on it, but this was this was a big one.
You know how to play cards?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to play cards a lot with, especially like in high school and even in college. We'd get all the guys together and
Right.
bring our chips and $10-20 and play cards, and
Yeah.
we'd always go to my buddy Dave's house, and his mom would play every once in a while and take all of our money. And
Right. Hayden's a hustler, man. She'll take everybody for everything.
yeah,
What?
She's really good.
She looks so sweet too. I mean,
I
you
know.
wouldn't even,
I think that's
you
what it
wouldn't
is.
think.
I like this reveal because the chances of him having 4 of a kind were so slim against your king queen.
Yeah.
So
oh,
of this. There's just so much going on for that character. It's like you wanted to. It's like you couldn't believe it. You knew you were gonna die. You thought for a second that you could, get him instead, and then you're like, "Wait, I'll be a hero." It was like you went through so many things so fast. And then
so
died.
intense. Shit, dude. That's hard to watch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it's really good, like really, really good.
We just stop doing.
What was it?
You guys are gonna take me to the poorhouse. You keep giving me these compliments.
Oh, because you have to pay us for it?
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, it's.
I was
Man,
really
that was so intense.
I was really tempted in the episode before this. I was tempted to make you pulling the gun on him the next week shot, but I was like, that's going to give away way too much. One thing I thought for the finale credit, I was going to do everybody's death as their credit, and I kind of shied away from it, but it would have been
It's been too gory.
It's just blood. Just write their name in blood.
Right. Yeah.
Well, with web series, there's not a lot of dark shows. There's a lot of comedies, a lot of soap kind of shows, but with web series, there's not really a ton of
Yeah, there's really not.
really like dark, grungy, gritty things. And so that was it's like a web series that was made like a film, and I really it works out really well.
No matter how much he fucks up.
But so this is our finale. We're just kind of getting our previously of pretty much the whole season, setting up the little bits and pieces that we need.
Love your technique,
That's my
man.
hand, by the
Yeah.
way. Because Michael
Nice
was
little
available
cameo.
that day. Yeah, that's my cameo. I put on the jacket, glove. Figuring out all the dates was tough. Like to make sure, because like in the script they were kind of like softly referenced, so it didn't have any specific dates. But I spent days just doing the math of like when things would have happened and created a timeline. But
So for those of you listening, you don't need to go do the math. We already did it.
yeah, totally done.
It worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Check our work.
Yeah.
Somebody will find something wrong.
Post it,
totally. There's all
post it
kinds
in
of-
the comments.
Yeah. So whenever someone says, "Hey, you know, I spotted like a moon shadow or something," then I'm always like, "Oh, good, you found my intentional Easter egg."
Right.
I just tell you, good. There's a list. See if you can find the other 20.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. If you catch them all, you owe us $100.
Well, I did manage to. I think it's because I wasn't running camera. I did manage to avoid my one thing that I do. I somehow do every time I do any project, and that's I somehow catch myself in the reflection.
Oh,
Always.
sure.
Always do that, and I didn't in this. And like I said, I think it's just because I wasn't running camera. But
Huh.
yeah, so
That's a cool shot. I like that lighting.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was really easy because of how dark it was in the room and how bright it was outside. I mean, it was like glaringly hot and
It
bright.
was so
and
fucking hot that week.
It was crazy. I think that was like the hottest week we had that summer.
I lost about 10 pounds in that garage.
Probably. It was.
Hey, let's film a sequel instead of going to the gym. I'm not going to do my gym membership. We'll just.
Right.
We were talking earlier, now that it's a web series, something I'm hearing a lot from fans and from the web series community is that because everybody dies, I can have a whole new cast and do a season 2.
Totally.
So
totally.
people are into it. They're like, oh, we should totally do a season 2. I've got people who want to like collaborate on writing.
Nice.
And like do a new cast, like do it in a new place, like in I don't know, like some cabin in the woods. Or,
Oh, yeah,
Or like
totally.
in a basement or an
Shit.
industrial building or
That's a
something.
good idea.
But
Yeah, I dig that.
it'd be fun.
And then they all come back from the dead and are zombies and attack them.
Zombie poker.
Use cards as
That's
a weapon.
Totally new kind of show. Zombie
I'm just
poker.
throwing it out there. If you don't like it, throw it back.
What's your okay? Some more water. What's your favorite memory of working on it, other than the heat? Because that's obviously not the favorite.
Favorite memory besides the heat? You know, I mean, honestly, like, again, like, I did this project pretty... Because when did we film? Do you remember what the...
It was like July or August 2009.
So, that was, like, within 6 months of moving to L.A.
Right.
And it was... I just really enjoyed, like, being able to do a full project and be on set that much. And, like, you know, one of the reasons I became an actor is the communal aspect that had, like, you know,
Right.
the teamwork and the collaboration that happens. And, like, again, like, I really did. I just enjoy, you know, he's not actually paying me for this. I wish he were. But I just remember, like, enjoying, you know, working with the other actors and being on set. And, you know, it was a cool thing for me of, like, cool, like, I'm in LA, like,
Right.
in a movie. Like, it's actually possible to do that out here.
Yeah, I wish I could have given you a more professional environment to have that experience, but I was kind of the same thing. I was already living in LA for a while, but this was my first big feature, and there's the name, Nick. There's no reasoning behind that. It was just a name. Oh wait, we're about to see your death, I think. Coming
Yeah.
up in just a second.
It's
Right here.
It's really
right
quick.
here.
Ah,
That's you. Yep, that's it.
that was so fun.
And I was able to keep it up there long enough to see a couple of drips fall out of the wound.
Oh, that's
which is
nice.
great.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, that was gnarly.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Like I said, Josh did a great job.
He did a
on it.
great job with it.
I didn't know you used bananas as brain fragments. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it works.
It's weird.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but you're right. Yeah, the banana thing works really well. Yeah, this was great. I love the intensity here, and just the whole thing is really intense. The whole show, even the kind of family moments, you see the dynamic between them, and you see how much he's like. I feel like he's doing most of this because of the guilt for judging you so much.
Yeah.
Like almost like he drove.
Yeah, that'll show you, buddy.
Right.
You bastard. You judgmental.
You know, that's so funny too because I was out. This was my first LA project, and I got home from Iraq. I think it was March, and we shot this in
Crazy.
July. You said?
Yeah, it was like July, end of
Yeah.
July or early August.
Yeah, and favorite part too was for me was Hayden's food. I mean, my
Yeah. Yep.
And
She's a good cook.
I never forget she made some type of salmon bagels. Man, I've been eating.
Oh, yeah, that's
I've been
right.
eating them ever since.
That's right.
That is so funny.
And oh wow,
Oh,
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
That just
Well, this just came out today, so you're not under pressure for
yeah.
for not having seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the moment where the hostage comes out, and one thing that that a lot of people have asked, and I would have to say yes, is did the host have hostages for each of you, like each of the players, so that whoever won he could do this to, because he has a reference in. Oh, by the way, that him winning with an ace and an 8 with 2 pair. That's something called Dead Man's Hand. That's actually a really common, commonly referred to hand in poker. That it's like a bad luck hand.
Interesting.
So there were some of them that were really important to do, but
By the way,
this is great. Michael's so creepy here. That camera move helps it out so much. What a creep.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
only enough bullets in that gun for players.
So there's actually not much show left. We're coming sort of to the end of this. What other thoughts or comments or little behind the scenes moments would you share? I know it's been 5 years, so I can't expect you guys to remember all this stuff. But what?
there's the day the Spice Girls showed up, and
Yeah,
NSYNC was
right.
there, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
The cast party starring Nickelback. No, not at all. We made them play the game.
Right.
Yeah, but any final thoughts for the fans watching this or listening to this, shall we say?
What you got?
Wait, no.
I'm trying to think if there's anything like really freaking cool to share.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a long time, so I can't hold you to it. Oh, he got his revenge.
That's so badass.
Oh man, I have to share the story of what you're about to see. Oh, okay. Before I jump into a second story I want to show. So they're about to leave, and then he says, wait, because obviously he forgot the money, right? So he's going to go back to the money. But watch this security cam shot. See that? On the end of that table, right next to your body, Alexius, we only had one take of that, and we had left a camera, or a slate, a class sitting on the table. This area right here was way creepier than the actual room. This was a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And it was just myself and Ben and Justin and Monica. We were the only ones out there. And this guy just like hovering off to the side, the owner of the property, just like cleaning his gun, and us just
That's
like trying to get
creepy.
the hell off this property where there was no cell reception. We were miles and miles from anywhere. It was terrifying.
Kind of like Deliverance. And
So we filmed this and we got the hell out of there as fast as we
the
could.
hills have eyes.
Yeah.
That
But
is so creepy.
that clap slate thing, I never noticed it. Nobody ever caught it at all. And so, but I caught it like really, like just as I was editing this finale, like last week, and I realized that I have to like Photoshop in like a not, I had to
poker
eliminate
chip.
it, right? So I luckily was able to get rid of it, and then we have our little secondary scene, which I always liked. It's like we get to tie up the brother and the wife and the game, but this was the only thing left because, at the very beginning, this character that was very, very sweet, had she was really sweet. This character it was like his family was going to fall apart. They were going to lose everything unless he was able to win, and he died right away. And you just think like, well, what the hell about his family?
Right.
And so this was like always super important to me to have this kind of like, like all the other characters had explained that they didn't have anybody left, right? They were kind of, Don didn't have a family except his like online girls. Which,
That's a family. That counts.
And then Otto, his wife had died, and then your character had explained you didn't really have anybody left. It was just Player 5's character, and so this was important to sort of tie this all together. And it made me happy to to do this. And these two were great. Like they had maybe 4 hours on set total. And I remember I had a friend of mine who was moving, and so they actually had like a pretty much empty house.
Wow.
So we were able to film that. But they did such a great job, and it was such a short scene. But they nailed it.
She's great. I've worked with her on some things since.
Deborah? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. But they did such a good job. And then because I've done video credits for everybody, I ended up doing video credits for the crew as well. But anyway,
nice.
So this is sort of the end. We're coming to the very end of it. I got to thank you guys so much, both for coming out and sticking with me and waiting for 5 years.
Thanks for making it happen.
Yeah.
It is. It's one of those things that even if it doesn't come out right away, it's always really cool to like see the final product for stuff because everybody put so much time, energy, and money into it. It's cool to see the final product.
And projects disappear a lot too.
Yes, they do.
So it was important for me to not have this one. But anyway, this is Matt Longmire, Ben Whitehair, and Alexius Zellner signing off. Thank you guys so much. Deeply appreciate it. And be sure to check out some of the other postseason content, and we'll see what happens.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.